All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Clark Wilcox, and a pretty cool guest today. He's one of us. He's an agency recruiter, went off on his own, just as an awesome story. And it's really cool. I think one of the really cool parts is he's just followed the newsletter. He's never been an official digital recruiter client, I would say, but followed the newsletter, followed the content, and just figured out his own journey and just implemented it. And I always say, if you just study all the stuff that I say, you'll figure out some stuff, the tools to use, the approaches to work, and all that. And so when he shared with me his journey, I knew I had to record and get him on here. So Marcus Quigley, founder of Recruitify, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
So talk to me. You're focused on legal and professional services right now. I know that's a whole story that we're going to get into, but why don't you start? Just give us your background, right? How did you get into the wonderful world of agency recruiting?
Honestly, I don't think that anybody wakes up like one part of their day and goes, I want to be a recruiter, or is born and goes, I want to be a recruiter. I don't think that's ever happened.
I think I've heard it once or twice. And it's not really even I wanted to be a recruiter. It's like my family had the business. It's just like, why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But even then, it was still like, do I do this or not?
Yeah. I don't think on career day, I was looking at my mom or dad and being like, hey, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a recruiter. I honestly don't think that ever happened. For me, I basically was into the working capital space, doing working capital loans and equipment financing. And honestly, I just really fell out of love. What I basically believe is if you're going to do something and you're going to be a salesperson, you really have to believe in the product. If you don't believe in the product or what you're selling, your customer is going to definitely sense that you're full of it and that you don't believe in it, and that you're not going to really be able to sell them a product. And that's why I got introduced to recruiting from a mentor of mine. I basically worked a half desk with her. I was sourcing, and I fell in love with it. And then basically she couldn't supply me with enough to basically make it to where, it'd be a full-time gig for me.
Yeah.
So I did that for about a year, and then I got back into working capital, and then I did that for a little longer, and then I realized, this wasn't for me. I wasn't meant to go back into working capital or do that equipment financing. I just didn't like it. So then I got into recruiting, where I just recently had left, and I was there for almost about 5 years, and then I went out on my own this past year. And that's basically kind of the timeline of everything. I've always done sales in my life, but definitely how did I get into agency recruiting? Basically, my mentor, she got me interested in it, and she kind of told me hey, here's what I do, here's what we do for clients, and it was just really attracted me to land somebody a job that they wanted and then make money off of it. It's kind of like, wait, what? Don't internal recruiters get paid to do this just regularly, but we get a pretty big fee for it? So it wasn't the fee, by the way, or the money that excited me. It was basically helping a client that really had a need to fill a role, and then a candidate that was really interested in leaving, and then matching the two. I love building relationships, and that's kind of why it really excited me to get into it.
We're gonna try to steer clear of just bashing on internal recruiting processes.
Yeah.
For an hour. Not that you were gonna go there. I would go there.
Never.
Because it is. I mean, it really is insane when you think about it, right? 40, 50K fees. I've seen up to 120K fees, and even more, right? They really can't figure it out that it's that much money, right? And there's internal red tape and all that other stuff. I get it, but it is funny in recruiting when you figure it out, and especially when you have that agency background, you have to figure it out within a few weeks, a few months. And then once you get to the other side, it's like, well, no, duh. It's easy, quote unquote. But we've been through the gauntlet. We've gone through the reps on the recruiting side, and some people just never get there, never incentivized. And it's just, that's the value you bring. That's why I tell people, if you've been at this for a few weeks and a few months, a lot. My first few months at AeroTag, I completely changed as a person and a professional. because I placed so many people. I made so many mistakes, like screening people and submitting and client feedback and not getting it across like 10, 20 different client accounts. Like you learn so much in the agency world just in a few months and in a few weeks. Easy to bash on agency recruiters, but if you really go all in, you can get like the springboard to. I think what happens is really hard to leave recruiting because it's such a before and after moment
Yeah,
in hiring. You know what I mean?
totally.
Eh, So
I would
yeah.
definitely say I started in 2019 in November,
Ooh.
and then we had what happened in 2020, COVID. I learned so much during that time. That was probably one of the roughest times I think in recruiting. We all didn't know what to really do, and a lot of people went to mortgage, this, that, financial services, whatever you call it. And we kind of just had to learn and adapt, and that's I think what everybody had to do. No one really knew like where to go,
Yeah.
and we just had to kind of read the market, read the economy, and figure out. But I would say like my last employer and I love everything about them. Like they're the people that got me to where I am. I would never bash them or anything like that. Like the people that I learned from there, the skills, the how to treat people, how to do all that. Like I'm indebted to them. Like I had a full table of them at my wedding because they meant that much to me because I love them. And honestly, going out on my own, the big fear was like I'm not going to be able to be friends with these people. And like going out on my own, that was definitely a fear. Like, you know, I'm not going to be able to talk to them anymore because I'm going to be competition to them. And like every single one of them has treated me with like respect and kindness that I've been on my own. They've been like, dude, I hope you crush it. Like I hope you do well. And when I told my manager I was leaving, I got really emotional because I really loved that company, but I knew like the reason why I left is because the alignment was off and I wanted to be able to do something that was my own, something that I had complete control over. And I don't know, I wanted to go a little bit slower and then just do what I want. So it was nothing against them. It's just, you know, I think the water bottle situation is, if you put a water bottle at Stagecoach, it's like it's a country concert.
Oh yeah.
It's like, $30 at the movie theater. It's like, $10 at 7-Eleven. It's like $3. And it's like, I think maybe I was just putting I think the vehicle I was in just wasn't the fit for me.
Uh-huh.
And now that I'm on my own, I've had the best financial year I've ever had in my life. And I truly think it's because of my confidence. My confidence has skyrocketed.
I love it, and I've been a stagecoach twice, so I know what you're talking about. It's a great time, great, 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 great time. It's the Coachella for country music. If the listeners don't know, and if you don't know what Coachella is, then don't worry about any of them. Either one. Uh, when you were at the agency, were you just recruiting only? Did you do dabble in sales at all?
So I was running a full desk.
You were running a full desk. Okay,
Yeah, I was running a
uh,
full desk.
but then you mentioned to me first 6 months were not easy on your own, right? So you're used to doing business development, used to getting clients, right? What was it about going off for your own the first 6 months? Like, what was that like?
So I think for the first 6 months was probably the hardest. Is it was right before the election, it was right before the holidays, and then I think I had a plan of what I wanted to do, and I basically just sprayed and prayed and just reached out to anybody with a pulse. And then I thought to myself, like, this is not working. I need to figure out what to do. And so during those first 6 months, like I told you before we started this, is I basically, when I started my company, I got everything all up and running and I started outreach. And it just really wasn't landing. I was just trying to basically say, hey, I have people I want to send to you. And I figured out like this past, I would say, since I've been on my own, that clients are very smart right now. If you say you have somebody, like, how do you know that they're a fit for us? I find that some of the best stuff that I've gotten from, especially from you, is I do legal recruiting. That's what I want to focus on. I'm not legal, construction, manufacturing, tech. I don't want to do all of those. I want to get really good at one thing. And when I'm posting the content of, what I do and how, like, for example, today I posted about counter offers. Like, I literally, I'm not even joking you. 2 weeks ago, I just had a candidate that accepted a counter offer. So why not talk about it? And I want to make sure my clients know, here's exactly what I do, and here's the service that I'm going to provide, and here's what you're going to get. Like, I walk into some of the law firms I work with locally, all my tattoos are showing. I sometimes even wear a hat with, my polo, and I'm walking in with jeans, and they don't care. They care that, I know what I'm doing. They know that I know how to attract the people. We obviously talk ahead of time, and it's just like a formality. I'm just saying hi and stuff, and I'm trying to understand what their office environment's like. But like, they know what they're getting from the stuff that I post on my LinkedIn, and then the interactions on the phone call. But to go back from that little mini tangent,
Yeah.
I learned the hard way of, I need to focus in and be more laser focused on what I'm doing. And I think, to kind of wrap up what you're asking, I learned how to do everything the wrong way. I didn't vet clients. I didn't get agreements signed in place first. I didn't ask tight salary bands. I didn't ask, why is the role open? I just wasn't tight. I was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then come February of this past year, I'm down to like probably my last $4,000 or $5,000 in my savings account. And, I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, I'm freaking out a little bit and I don't know what to do. And basically, I thought to myself, I'm not going to ask her parents for money. I'm not going to ask my parents for money. So basically, I took out my 401k. I put it, basically, I took out a loan against it. I put like 20 grand in my bank account, and I'm like, hey, that's now there. I don't have to worry about bills. I need to do things the right way. And how does that happen? By building the relationships and doing everything, not rushing things. Because the one thing clients can smell is desperation. It's a stinky cologne, and they can tell when you care about money. And as soon as that happened, like, my money went into my account for my 401k. Within probably about a month, I popped 6 deals, and it was just a domino effect, one after one after one. But that's not from a month worth of work. That's from like a couple months prior, from like December, me taking my time, going through the process with clients. And then since then, I did one placement in November of last year. And then this year to date, I've done 23. So about 24 in total, working on 25 and 26 right now.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I love that dude, you doubled down on yourself, man. And you created enough runway where you don't have the commission breath. It's so important when people think about leaving their own to start their own agency, especially if they haven't sold before. I'm like, give yourself a year runway because you got to get the reps. Now you've had the reps before at your previous agency and on your own, right? So you didn't need that long of a runway, but you have to have it, to your
Yeah.
point, to be able to do the right things and have the boundaries without the stresses of all the bills and all that coming into play. Let me, let me ask you, you were kind of doing everything or looking at you could do everything. Why did you end up picking legal, right? Because the question I get a lot is, how do I hone in when I've done a lot of different things? How do I hone in on one or two?
I would basically say the reason why I like working with the legal space is because they're blunt, just like me.
Yeah.
I'm very direct, point blank. If a client goes over with me, hey, here's the reason why the role's open. Here's the reason why we need it filled. Here's this, here's that. I'm very easy. It's like, it's a very easy conversation for me to have with them. Like, what's going to happen if you don't fill this role? Oh, well, we're going to basically miss out on $1 million worth of billing with our current clients. So your $30,000 fee doesn't really matter to us. They're very just blunt, cut and dry. And I believe that's just in general how, the law profession, like the legal space is in general, with court, with settlements, with going to trial. Like, it's very black and white, and there's not really a gray area. Lawyers are very decisive. They know what they want. They're very easy to talk to. Also, I think it's a regulated space because attorneys have to be barred. So, I think just in general, when it comes with that, you just have like those small intricacies of, they're going to look like, whenever I send an agreement, I know I'm never really going to have an issue. They're going to look at it probably in like 5 seconds. They're going to be like, oh, this is a boilerplate agreement, signed, done. Like,
Yeah.
it's when I send an agreement, I go over terms, it's back within like 5 minutes,
That's
via
pretty funny.
DocuSign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get the ROI as well. Like, if I fill their role, say it's for a paralegal, the stuff's going to have to be done by them, the stuff that they're passing over to the paralegal. And you can only do so many things as an attorney. And there's a lot of legwork, hard work that needs to be done. So if it's an attorney role or if it's like, say, a paralegal role, we'll go with paralegal role. That work needs to get done. Like somebody's going to have to do it. Is it going to be the attorney or is it going to be the paralegal? And then like I have a role right now for an insurance coverage defense role. It's a really challenging role to fill. And it's like they need their attorneys to be billing their clients so that way they can make more money and make their client happy at the end of the day. So when there's those openings, they understand why it needs to be filled. And it's like, it's a really easy just, yes, we need your help or no, we don't. And then if it's not like, we don't need your help right now, I'm like, cool. Do you want me to hit you back up? By the way, I really don't want to hit you back up if you always are always going to say no to me. Like, and they're majority of the time they laugh and they go, no, 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 seriously. Like, I liked your style. Hit me up, say Q1 of 2026, and then we can talk. That's how cut and dry they are. That's the reason why I chose that industry.
But you're giving them the opportunity to be cut and dry in a way that benefits you too, right? And
Yeah.
it's not going to waste your time. So I've talked about urgency all the time. You and I were trained on qualifying for urgency. You've done, I mean, you've done such a good job of explaining why that matters. And revenue generating roles are more than just like sales. It could be paralegal, they could be law firms, right? And everything else establishing ROI that establishes the urgency, the consequences. But you said something that's really important that I don't think is talked about enough, and I probably should bring it up more when it comes to picking a niche, is where I talk about it with proof of concept where you've made placements before, but also where do you feel comfortable? The types of
Hmm.
people, like where does your personality match the market? And I'm not an IT engineering type. I'm much more sales producer type. I don't like also like love dealing with marketing types. Even though I run my own digital marketing agency, like the traditional marketer types that like went to school for marketing are kind of oil and water with me usually for
Yeah.
the most part because I'm like shoot from the hip marketing and they don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm same thing with me in engineering, IT. I would fall asleep on a phone screen if I had to talk to them.
That's the
So
same thing I have a problem with is I just couldn't really find myself to like working in the tech space because the people, the hiring managers were just a little bit different. It's nothing against them. Like that's why restaurants have menus. You get to pick who you want to work with and stuff. And I just couldn't really do it with the tech industry, so I didn't really like it,
but you talked about confidence being number one for you, like over. But so you find people that match your personality, so you're more comfortable there. You can hone in on skill sets that you know you can find. So you got better at vetting and screening it. Like that all had to play into your confidence going up, right?
100%.
Like
Yeah. So to kind of go into like what helped me build confidence is when I started to work with my clients, my brand new clients that I started working with when I went out on my own. I'm only working, by the way, right now with like 7 clients.
you
I don't have 20 clients. I
don't
have
need them.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need them. And the reason why they do repeat business again and again and again with me is because I know their process and I know, what they like and everything like that. But like the stuff that helped me build confidence is I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind to my clients. Like if they tell me,
It's
hey,
huge.
we need to find this person, hybrid or on site in downtown LA, and it's for a super niche attorney, I'm going to be like, hey, John, there's no way in hell we're going to find that. And I'll first look, but then after I look, because by the way, when anybody asks, how long does it take to find somebody and then, like go through the offer and then interviewing? Okay. Going on LinkedIn, it's really not that hard to find the people. Like if you give me a certain attorney role or paralegal role, here's exactly what I do. You're going to probably laugh, but I literally will go on the chat GPT and I will say, what are all the keywords that I would want to possibly put in here? And when people go, oh, well, you're using AI, like, you said in a post, like AI won't replace you. I use it to help amplify me. And when I use it, I ask it, what are the many different ways or keywords I could plug into here? The next part where it takes a recruiter is I have to go through all of those profiles and then be like, yes, 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 no, yes, yes, no, no, no. And then once I put all those together in a list, a short list, then I'm able to identify, what I'm really looking for. And then after that, like what's really built me confidence is the quality that I put in on the front end. I vet everybody that I talk to over a video call. A lot of, I don't know about other agencies, but I don't know what other people do, but for me, if I'm going to put my name stamp on somebody's resume and send it over to somebody, and then they're going to pay me 30K or 20K, that person better be exactly like, who exactly I sent over on the submission. Like if it says that they know, X, Y, and Z, they better know it. Like I better have done a really good job on vetting them
Hmm.
because that's why they're paying me. At the end of the day, companies don't pay us to do, all these things like, setting up the interviews, reference. Our job as recruiters is one task: deliver a resume. That's it. But we do all these other things because in this day and age, I think in 2025, the types of places that may not be as busy or may not be around, I don't know, in the next 5 to 10 years, are the agencies that are consulting their clients and helping them out, like pointing things out in their processes, pointing things out in their broken, steps, like of interviewing, like I don't know, a 16 step with a DNA sample and then their firstborn child. Like, I don't know. But all this stuff's given me the confidence to then say, this is why I charge 25%. So if you're paying somebody 15, I would say go work with them all day long, but there's a reason why we're on the phone call today.
Yeah.
And here's what I do. Here's all the legwork that I do. So that's why I charge what I charge. And then once I obviously place some people, it gave me the confidence to be like, oh, wow, I could do this on my own.
Yeah, it's what I always said. If you can fill it at 15%, go ahead all day. But if you can't, that's because this is actually 25% search.
You pay what you get for.
Exactly. Right. And it's a great, and I appreciate just how well you articulated it all and make it super digestible for anyone listening. These aren't, it is a magic sauce. And yes, you and I did learn at, some of the bigger firms, like, but I think it's the reps that we see everyone else around us get and that we get. That's like, it's just tried and true principles. Like it is it. Like you mentioned before, like being yourself in recruiting, that was the switch when it flipped for me, made sales way easier in the
Yeah.
agency world, right? And it came from, again, picking my top 5 skill sets, focusing on really skilled trades, forklift drivers, food and beverage, plastics in LA. That kind of became our bread and butter, and it just made everything easier instead of trying to learn 50 different titles and skill sets and all that. And I'm not like a handyman or anything else like that where I can focus on a few things. And to your point, you still need to do the work on the front end. You got to qualify a good role to come up with good messaging, and
Yep.
that's usually where people get tripped up anyway. So it's like I could show you Dripify, I could show you how to source and do some
Yeah.
research, but do you know the messaging? Do you know how to like get them to close and interested in the role and keep them interested and all that? Especially with some of this stuff, especially what you're doing when it's a candidate-driven market, and it can be really hard to find these people, but really beneficial, really valuable to find those people. Right? How you navigate it? You have to have a certain savvy, right? It's the art of recruiting that we get paid for, beyond just the science of it. I think that is it. Now, of course, easier said than done. You still went out and made it happen, but like people ask like what the plan is, what the strategy. Well, that's it. You just have to be willing to, excuse my French, but just have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that's really it, and people respect it, right? Even law firms, right? Then because it's funny, I've worked with different people that have like looked at legal or maybe honed in at legal, and it's these people are proud of like billing their hourly rate. So you better have a good reason for them to get on the phone with you. Like it's just right nature of their process. And so it's like if you're not showing that value, then like why would they talk to you? Right.
Yeah.
But if you have shown it, they're talking to you, well then that's like a pretty good sign, of your credibility. So it's I don't know, it's just simple, but I get it. It's hard to execute.
I deliver value on day one with my clients.
Yeah. How do you
And
do that? No.
well, it's real simple how I do it. So I don't try to just like slide in their DMs and be like, this is something I've taken from you. I build relationships. I reach out to them. I go, hey, how's the market going? Like, how's your search going? And then, for the ones that respond, we go a little bit back and forth. And I'm like, I see you have like a role. It's on site 5 days a week. That's got to be a tough fill. From what I'm kind of seeing, a lot of my clients that have those roles, they are open for months. The hybrid or the fully remote roles are way easier to fill. So I try to just tell them like everything that I'm seeing, because here's
So
the
good.
the the path that I go with any brand new client. Like it's tried, true, and I just do it over and over again. Why? Because I don't need to replace the process that I have because it works. When I pick up a new client, I simply go over, what I do, and it's really simple. All companies, including law firms, hire in three different ways. One, they post a job. Two, they get referrals. If they're a great company people want to work at, they'll get referrals from their current employees. And three, active sourcing. One, if the jobs aren't bringing in candidates, say it's a super niche role, like I don't know, say it's a associate attorney for employment law defense. It's a very small pool of people. You're not going to get a ton of applicants unless it's remote, and even then, you're probably not going to get a ton of
Yeah.
applicants. So if a client posts a job, they're only going to get so many people. Like if that's not working, like I've had clients that post jobs, it just doesn't work. Okay, let's go to the second lever. Lever is the referrals, and it's like the referrals is really simple. Like if John Smith over here loves working here, and you ask him, hey, John, like we have this role open, like do you have anybody that may want to work here that comes from another place? Oh yeah, I do. And then if they don't, okay, great. Then we got to go to the last one. The last lever is basically actively sourcing. I can guarantee you a director of HR is not living on LinkedIn because that's what it takes to find people when you're actively pulling people from another company. And that's really what takes like a lot of the time, and why I tell clients like, here's what I charge. I'm going to have to go on LinkedIn for multiple hours, sometimes 15, 10 hours sourcing and going through all these people, and then I'm putting them in a campaign, which I use Juicebox, by the way.
Yep.
And I put them in a campaign that says, hey, I put in a really good subject body, here's what I'm recruiting for, and then I do a slight little drip campaign, and then if I get engagement, we hop on a Zoom call. And like that's the process I run every single time. I never stray away from it, but I tell them, here's what I do. And then when I go through the list of people that I find on LinkedIn, I send them a short list, and I obviously say to them, hey, please don't reach out to these people because it took me time to find them. But I produce value and I show them, hey, here's the candidates. Are these the right ones? And I've had partners at law firms go, oh my God, you've done more than like ABC agency over there. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, they've never sent me a profile like this and then previewed it with me and then said, is this what you want? Because maybe they're scared we're going to hire them or reach out to them. Like I do believe there's a little bit of trust that has to go into it with building a relationship, and that's the path that I go on with just about any new client. Like I go through this process of telling them what it is, and then when it comes to going over the fee, it's really simple. Like then they don't go like, oh my God, that's a really high fee. Like, can you do 20%? Some of the firms I work with are like, cool, send it over, and then they sign it.
So you're doing all that before they sign something.
I'm going over what I do.
Yeah.
I'm going over in depth because I don't want to be seen as a vendor. I want to be seen as a business consultant.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to have me work at 15%, I'll flat out tell them no. I'm worth way more than that. And I'll tell them, go keep working with them. But there's a reason why we're on the phone.
So if you give them a short list, you do all that work, what if they go back and be like, hey, thanks, we'll take it from here? Right, good luck. Or they do negotiate you down. Like,
I mean, I
what's the
guess
move?
then they needed that money. I guess they needed that money that bad that they,
Yeah.
didn't want to spend on me. I mean, what am I going to do? Go after them legally? Like, I can care less. I'll just go find another client and never work with them again.
And that's what I wanted to hear. And that's why I wanted it on the recording.
If they're hard
it was
up
a
on
leading
money,
question. Excuse me.
yeah.
But
If they're hard up on money, then I'm just going to what am I going to do?
But that's part of your vetting process, and that's what I'm
Yes.
trying to get across to people. I know you've done such a good job of is that is the vetting, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, well, what if they do this? What if they do that? Well, then they've shown you their cards.
Their true colors.
And the true colors, great song. And that's it. And move on to the next one, right? But you have the system. You know where to get more clients. You know that there's a need in the market. You know you got to be on LinkedIn. You're posting. You're doing your outreach. Your calls. It's like there's more. There's plenty of need in this space, in the legal space for your type, your help, right? And it's just like having that confidence. Okay, on to the next one. On to the next one. And also you add them to your list of places that could be very easy to pull people from, most likely, right? If they're going to treat you that way, it's just like, all right,
Yeah.
I know where I could source all the lawyers and all that stuff, from paralegals, everything else. So, no, it's good to hear in a year or a couple of years where I've heard a lot of complaints about the market, right? There's a corner of the agency recruiter side, typically digital recruiter community, newsletter subscriber and or beyond. That's like, we don't care about that stuff. Like, there's plenty of business out there. When you're solo making 24 placements, like, you're good. right? Like one or two a month, like you're good. Like there's plenty of stuff out there, and I can't reiterate enough if you're listening to this. Like it, most people are going to overcomplicate it, but it is simple,
Oh, it's
right?
so simple. It's insane. I try to complicate it the first couple of months.
And
I was
yeah,
focusing on the big picture and like, dude, I just needed to be in the moment
that's
and
it.
like focus on doing the hard work. When somebody says to me, "Oh, um, they're going out on their own or whatever," it's like the one thing I will tell anybody, which ties into what I was talking about earlier. My father passed earlier this year, and he was a good man. He stopped working. I think it was around like 72, 73, from school. Like he was a teacher at Cal State Fullerton, and he started having a lot of medical conditions. And then he passed at 76. And me and my wife, and my family, watched him die for 8 days straight through hospice. It's something that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. Um, but the one thing I got from that man was do the right thing. Like literally always do the right thing. Do the right thing by candidates. Do the right thing by clients. Like if you could just operate with integrity and doing the right thing, you're gonna go so far. And when my mind shifted towards like Q1 or Q2 because he died in April, my mind shift on just I don't care about the money. Like I'm just focusing on the role. This is the role. I'm not here to inflate my fee. Clark, I've eaten about 50 or 60 thousand dollars worth of fees with clients that have paid me over 100K. Why did I do that? Because there was something that didn't work out with one of the candidates. And out of the 24 placements that I've done, I have right now two backfills that I'm working on. I think that's a pretty good ratio. But the reason why I'm like trying to do the right thing and I ate those fees is because I was looking at the long term play of doing the right thing. I'm not telling everybody eat a fee just to eat a fee because your client complained about something, but I was looking at the big picture and I was like trying to find a middle ground. And then when that happened, they introduced me to another client that I'm actively working with, and it's like it'll come back. Like I'm looking at the long term, not the I need to make a fee right now. And it took me, this entire time that I've been in business to learn these hard things. But that man definitely taught me, a lot of just the core values: respect, integrity, being kind. Like I don't have any ill will in my body, like anywhere towards somebody that doesn't want to work with me or whatever. Like everybody deserves to be treated with respect, to be kind, especially in a really crazy world like we're in right now. I'm not here to get political or anything like that. I'm just trying to say like we need to be kind to one another. We need to treat people with respect. And if it's not nice, don't say it. But I truly believe in like what he taught me growing up and before he died. Like it changed me and my wife dramatically. Like to where I'm gonna operate my business with integrity, and I'm gonna treat every client the way I want to be treated. And I'm not gonna say something to somebody and then the background do the opposite.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, I'm also in Alcoholics Anonymous, and like a lot of that stuff that they teach me, I celebrated 5 years this past August, and a lot of what is taught in AA is carried over with my business. And I tell my clients, I'm an AA, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I tell them about my backstory, and they find that me like opening up about all that stuff, they're like, wow, this guy's actually a normal human. Like he's somebody we want to maybe work with, that like he's changed his life and he's done these different things. He shared about his father passing. Like I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you want to hear. But that definitely I would say taught me like how I am today was, definitely my father. It's a
Well,
big part of it.
I mean, you give people an opportunity to connect with you, right? And I think to hear about the be kind, everything. I mean, you give everyone the opportunity to right treat you the same way, and if they don't, okay,
Yeah.
great, right, wipe your hands clean, like nice to know you, right? Good luck with everything, type of
Yeah.
situation, right? And just
100%.
having that space to let the right people in, and people that kind of don't want to hang out at the party, like, all right, ask them kindly to leave, right? And you kind of do
Yeah.
that, and I would say. First of all, congrats on the 5 years. That's super cool.
Thanks,
And I
man.
remember seeing that post, and there's a lot of strength in doing that, and it's not easy. And that's super. I mean, that's super cool. And I think with your dad, as someone that's lost parents, to be perfectly honest, as well. It's an interesting moment in time. I completely agree about hospice and seeing family go through that. I mean, it's tough, and it molds you. I think it's pretty admirable the way you're talking about him post his passing and passing this year. I feel the same way. I kind of talk about my father when he passed a few years back. There's something that I don't know I mean, man or woman, but for me, just experiencing as a man, as a son, that you do really kind of think about your legacy and what you learned from your dad and paying that forward. So I resonate deeply with what you're talking about of like, what are those lessons that he taught me to carry with him? How do I level up? It seems like you found a lot of business success right after that. I ended up meeting my wife right after my dad passed, like 3 months after. Like big life things happen. It seems
Yeah.
like at times. I just see a common theme from when I've talked to different people about losing parents and especially fathers. I want to ask, like, and thank you for sharing all that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm
But
an open book, like I said.
it was great. Same here. I want to ask what, because words are one thing, actions are another. What I'm sure you reflected on this. What were some of the actions that you saw him living this, like in doing the right thing in either his profession, his life, that because we model the behavior or anything
Yeah.
else. I'm curious, like what's some of those things?
So growing up, he was the primary breadwinner of my family.
Yeah.
He was the one that was working. My mom was a stay-at-home mom,
Mm.
and he would leave on. He worked for a lot of different companies over the years: IBM, McDonnell Douglas. There's one other I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was a project manager. And the one thing he did for a really long time is he to provide for our family. Like he would straight up, have to leave. I think it was like on a Sunday, and then he would come back Saturday. Like he would literally be gone the whole week. And the actions that he took was he would come back home and take me to the park. He would take my brothers to the park. I have two older brothers, and he would provide to make sure that our family had everything we needed. He never asked anything in return. He that man had no cruel cell in his body. Like he was the embodiment of like what you expect a father to be like. He never raised his voice. Over the years with my alcohol abuse, like he still loved me. Um, he was able to come to my wedding, and that meant a lot. Um, just the fact that he was always there. We were able to talk about things like since I've kind of been on my own, not living at home. I'm thinking, long time ago. I would always call him every weekend, and we would always just kind of talk about everything. And when I told him like I was going out on my own and opening my own business, he was like his eyes lit up, and he just was so excited. And it would be really awesome today to kind of be able to talk to him about like the success I've had just by like what he's taught me. But he was just always a good father. He took the time to spend, like he wouldn't come home from the trip and just be drinking a beer, which by the way I'm not saying that's a bad thing, being an AA, like
Yeah.
to each their own. But he would always spend time with me and my brothers, and like take the time to take us to the park. Every single time he came back from his trip, he would bring me a Beanie Baby. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have like 4 giant bags that I'm never gonna sell on eBay because he gave me those, and he would always remember every single time to bring me back one. And like just those small things he did, but even big things he did, he showed up in my life as like just a strong man and someone to look up to, because I believe fathers are, like their son, or even their daughters, like role model to look after, including their mom in the home. And he just set those examples for me growing up. So those are the actions that he took. um, and even in the amount where it was towards the end of his life, he wanted to take my mom to dinner, but he couldn't. He was in a lot of pain. uh, he was basically in a lot of pain from his waist down. So they would be at a restaurant, he'd be in a wheelchair, and he would be constantly shaking, his legs would be moving, and he wouldn't be able to sit still. And like, dude, you want to take your wife, like my mom, to dinner, it's like for her birthday, and it's like you're just constantly in pain.
Yeah, man.
It's like that's right there, you know, like those are the actions that he took. He took a lot of, you know, stuff that I take for granted today. He did all those things and he exemplified them, like the man he was, even towards the very end. Like I I remember when he was in hospice, it was like day 4. God, I knew I was gonna get emotional doing this.
You're getting me too, man.
Yeah. Um so on day like 4 of hospice, you know, I was talking with him and he was somewhat conscious because I don't know if the listeners don't really know too much about hospice, but you're pretty much basically off all the medication that you're on and you're on morphine or another drug. And
Mm-hmm.
he came out of what he was going through and we were telling him that we loved him. And he responded back with, everything's going to be all right. And I love you guys. It's like he's trying to comfort us as he's about to die, you know? It's I don't know. It's just I brought that up during the eulogy, which I was definitely not able to get through very easily. And I think it's because I was trying to make up a lot for lost time when I got sober, that I tried to just be there for him and my family. And the fact that he would say, like, everything's going to be okay and try to comfort me, it's like, dude, you're on your deathbed and you're trying to comfort me. It's like, I don't know if that's not a man right there that's trying to comfort his son and his daughter-in-law. I don't know what is.
Yeah.
A little heavier than you're expecting.
Nah, dude,
Oh man.
I lost my parents at age 5, man. Like, no, like I've been through it. I connect with it. I feel it because hearing someone talk about, their father that way, as a father of 2 young boys now, um, it just hits differently, and I appreciate it, and I love hearing it from your perspective, someone else's perspective, how valuable it is, because it's something that's been lost in our culture, our society. Fathers have been pushed aside, um, and it's an absolute shame. And I think they're coming back into the fold with big time, which is great. What I'm here for, and I think hearing, there's some fathers in our father's generation that didn't come through, and that weren't people weren't as fortunate to have what you and I had for fathers, and everything else. And so to have to hear the appreciation you have for that, and lost time is lost time. And we grew up, we have our challenges, and none of us are perfect. We're all fallen, and but I think hearing, I think knowing that no matter what you were going through, right, that he had that love doesn't go away, and I can attest to that with my boys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it just doesn't. It could never go away. And I think that's cool. There's always room for a comeback story, and I think that's what I've learned. And I think just hearing that, right, hit me right there. I've it's really cool. It's a really cool testament to his legacy, to to all that piece. And I don't think you have kids right now,
No,
but if you
not yet.
do, one of the things that I'll share with you is, um, I didn't get a ton of time with my biological parents, and I was adopted in a good family, did all right, everything else. I think one of the things that having kids has happened, it was unexpected, and I didn't realize it, is I don't remember my parents' voices, my biological parents' voices. And so, that it get more and more distant as I grew up and go to high school and college. And I have some pictures, but that's about it. And I was born in France, and we spoke French, and I forgot all my French when I moved to the States and Boston when I was 6. Um, but there was something, my son's only 2.5, my oldest, and I have an 8-month-old. And I think 2.5, and I was almost 6 when my parents passed. I have 6 full years, and I feel like I've lived 20 lifetimes with my son, and the
Wow.
amount of love and everything that we've shared, and that I have for him, and vice versa. It made me realize it, because I always wondered, like, why I didn't feel like so resentful. about losing my parents,
Yeah.
and I realized like they,
I didn't know about that about you, by
yeah,
the way.
and well, okay, we're sharing to share, right? And I think
Exactly.
and it's inspired. Is it made me realize like because it clicked on how much they love me and that they had my back,
Yeah.
and that's why I never felt alone. Um, and it's been just hugely powerful and healing to have that on the other side. And I share that to share, but I share that I know it's like pretty raw state, right? About 7 months ago now,
Yeah.
maybe 6 months ago,
6 months.
and
Yeah.
I can't even keep track of the calendar anymore. Two little kids, but 6 months is if you play the long game like you're doing with business and life, things come together in full circle too. And I think you start to
Yeah.
get more answers and more how the whole thing there's a whole plan on everything, and that
Yeah.
you might have wished that you could have had more time, but like he's good no matter what, and that you left him in a great place,
Yeah.
right, with what you were doing, what you were pursuing. I mean, 5 years you got to see that, and the bounce back. I mean, the bounce back as a father is just cool as just like you don't expect perfection. But I just think that there's more of those moments there for you. And I think the fact that you're a present person and everything else, I think you're going to be able to connect with them for a long time just after this and share the memory and the legacy. And, if you ever have kids and all that, I think that's only going to expand on everything. And that's a whole other choice for you and your wife. I'm not
Yeah.
really getting into that, but,
Yeah.
it's something that's, God willing able to happen. That amazing. It just provided me full circle moments as well. And yeah, I think it is interesting with people like we go through that loss, what it makes us think, but also it's just there is a lot of power in just kind of showing up and, to your point, and doing the things and just being present, especially in this age, is there's such value in it. There's never been
Yeah.
more value to being present than there is right now because of how easy it is not to be.
The thing I noticed that I wouldn't say it's made me angry, but the one thing I've definitely realized is that man got to relax and like actually be retired, and then he went into pain, and he never got to go on trips. He never got to, I'll just flat out say it, like we weren't rich, we weren't poor, and like I love my family. We had just, we had what we needed. He always provided.
Yeah.
We didn't go on, like all these trips and all these things. So it's not me saying, oh, I had a bad childhood, that's why I am the way I am, and that's why I went out and, drank and was in AA. My parents didn't do anything wrong. They were the best possible parents that I could have ever asked for, my mom and my dad. Um, but what I will say is the reason, like why I got sober is because I needed to look in the mirror and realize that I was the problem. But to go real quick on what I was going to say is I watched how towards the end of his life went, and then it's not like I'm talking negatively on this, but I want to be able to enjoy my life, and I think it was very eye opening that how he lived his life, and I would have loved to take him to a trip to like me and my wife just got back from London and Ireland, and it was amazing. I didn't want to come back. But like I don't travel a lot. My wife's the one that travels. She's, has traveled a lot way more places than I have, but I got the travel bug. But the one thing that we realized during that, those days of his hospice is I don't want to work, for the next 40 years. I think it goes along with the generations. Like trust me, I'm completely down to work hard. I will work hard during the months that I wasn't doing well. I was up till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to get my website up. I didn't pay anybody. I figured it out through GoDaddy. I asked Chat GBT, like, I'll tell you right now, and anybody asks if I see on a Reddit thread like about questions, it's really simple. Go on Google or Chat GBT and just ask it a question and figure out yourself. But like I put those hours and asking friends, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like if I didn't have all of those errors and things that happened badly with the beginning of my business, I wouldn't be grateful for what I am today. But I will say, like, if anything's taught me anything, is watching my dad live his life. Is I want to maybe do things just a little bit differently. And like I'm saying, I'm not thinking it's negative how he lived his
Yeah.
life. but I want to do things differently, which is I want to go travel more. I want to take time off. I want to actually live. And another thing to go along with the kid conversation is like, I want to be just like my dad was to my
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Like I want to raise them with a loving family and a a dad and a mom that cares. And it's kind of funny. My wife's gonna laugh when she watches this, but we have a dog and his name's Ollie, and he's probably like right outside my door, but all of our neighbors always ask why he's like so loving and kind and like why he is the way he is. And it's really simple. We're stern with him when he does something. Say he like bites one of our shoes or eat something he shouldn't have. We're stern with him. We don't yell at him. We're stern with him. But then we love him and we care for him and we hold him, we pet him, we show him affection. I believe that the reason he is the way he is because he's from a home of love. And we adopted him from what is it, a store like right by us in Yorba Linda, and he was coyote bait. And it's like he was picked up from Riverside, and like we took him in, and we loved on him. And that's the reason, like, I think I am the way I am because me and my wife, we love each other in that type of way, but also I feel like our kids are going to be treated the exact same way. And like the way my dad and mom are, the way AA has taught me to do things, to suit up and show up, when things are tough. I for 1 second I didn't want to go and drink when my dad died. I literally, the day my dad died, I went to the gym for 3 hours in anger. I listened to, like, I think it was like Sleep Token and Slipknot, and I was in a rage. I was angry. I just lost my father. I watched, the coroner come up and pick his body. And then after that, the following day, I went to an AA meeting and I did exactly what was instructed of me. It's do the next right indicated step. So, but I wanted to add that.
I appreciate that. I'm glad that you did. Yeah, whoever
Yeah.
whoever spares the rod hates their children, right? But whoever loves their children is careful to discipline them. And
Yeah.
it's learning that every day now. And uh, yeah, we need people like you and your wife to be parents and have kids and raise good kids. So I
Yeah.
hope that
I can't
happens
wait.
at some point. They'd be great. You guys would be great parents. Um, and it is great. I mean, and you want that for your sons. I'm sure your dad was happy that you were able to build that for yourself and for your life
Yeah,
because
he was.
he wants you to be there Sunday through Saturday as much as possible. Um, and that's what I want for my sons is to have a better experience, better childhood than I did. And I had a good one, right? But I want them to see their parents together and happy and everything else. We all have that, and it's a noble goal to leave it better than you found it. And I think it's a great way to do it. And obviously, your dad imparted those lessons on you, and this is obviously this is in his honor, and I could tell that he was proud. I mean, just the way you're talking to him is about him is pretty special, and I'm glad that you had that, right, and that you have that as a source of strength as you continue to go and build your business. And we need business owners like you. We need men like you, and husbands, eventually fathers, to own up to their shit, if you will, and figure out a way to be better, and then go do it, right?
Yeah.
And then you stumble, and then you get back up, and you keep doing it, and then just appreciate the authenticity, the honesty, the bluntness. It's more and more of that is needed, and more of that is happening now. People are resonating with that more, and so if you're listening to this, you're wondering how in the world we get off the rails. Don't wonder that, because as Marcus just said, that's what his clients appreciate about him. I know that's what my clients appreciate about me, about just being blunt and direct. There's an opportunity for that. There is a way to make money being that way and being you. You don't have to be fake on social media or anything else. You can be who you are, but it's a choice, and you have to make that choice. And I'm glad you made the choice to be you and be you out there in business and personal. And it's added, a ton to me, and I've learned a ton, and I got a lot of value out of, talking to you today and learning about you, your family, your dad, and his legacy. And it's super cool. Like, it just makes me kind of reflect and think back. So appreciate that. And thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. I always find it's really funny. I had I would say just like a call with a potential client, and I try to talk myself out of every role that I work to a degree.
Yeah, you got to. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
I literally will flat out be like, hey, just FYI, you're probably gonna laugh at this, but probably the exact opposite of what he thinks, staffing agency owner is going to say, or a headhunter, whatever you want to call us. I'm going to try to talk myself out of working on your role because I really need to make sure it's urgent, or I'm not going to work it. Because if you're not going to move quickly, then we're just like that. That I will tell you, that's like the biggest way to PISS me off is I send you over somebody, we get an agreement in place, and then candidate sits in your inbox for 2 weeks. I will like that will be the biggest way to grind my gears.
Yeah.
I try to talk myself out of it just about every single time whenever it's a new lead or I don't the way I call it is a client is not a client until they've paid you money.
Yeah.
It's in my head they are just another random person, and I would love to make them a client, and I'm going to treat them just like they were a client, but I do believe that if they're not paying you money, then they're not, I wouldn't consider it. There'd be a lead
Yeah.
in my head. But I do try to talk myself out of just about every single role just to make sure, like, my ethics are really simple. If they could fill the role on their own and they don't need my help, like, that's great. Save a fee. I don't try to take every single role because I need to learn when to say no.
I know they appreciate they appreciate you for that, because I talk to these HR TA leaders at these conferences that I've spoken at and hosted roundtables at. That's all they want. Hey, I'm not here to give every role, but there are some stuff we can't handle that we need an agency recruiter on. Like
Yeah,
they're
100%.
dying for recruiters to reach out and talk to them in that way. And this
Yeah.
way, I can verify. You verified it. I verified it. It's the way to go about it. And then you just cut to the chase so much quicker, man. You save so much time. So, kudos to you for getting
Thanks, man.
there, researching it, making it happen. The 2 a.m.s, having it all click, but putting in the work. Keep grinding, man. Keep building this thing. I'm excited to follow your journey.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you being on here and just talking shop and sharing your story, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, until next time, I know you got some inspiration and some value out of this. So give us some love, whatever it is, 5 stars, 10 stars, follow, subscribe to the podcast. Connect with Marcus if you haven't yet on LinkedIn. We'll have his LinkedIn in the episode description. Until next time, y'all, happy hunting.
Yes, seriously, DM's always open, guys. Literally, I will answer it when I can.
You heard it from the
it's
man
always open.
first. Reach out, man. All right, y'all. Happy hunting. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks,
See
man.
ya.
Bye.